Well, hello again.
Hello.
We're back. And recently we had a conversation with our community, Saturday graduate call, about what really drives poor food choices. And we discovered years and years ago that it wasn't so hard to help people understand what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, to lose weight naturally and reverse chronic health conditions. But it didn't always seem to stick. And what we found out when we would talk with them, what had gone wrong, because they had had great results losing weight and got off their meds and that, but then we'd see them months later and some of them had put weight back on and were having the same problems. And it turned out it was always because something had happened in their lives. They were under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and they went back to their old eating habits. So what we saw was that there was this mental and emotional link to food. And so it wasn't so hard to know what to eat. It was difficult to eat the right thing when we were under stress and pressure.
Yeah, we use food a lot of times to calm ourselves, to bring us back to a state of equilibrium when we're tense, when we've got a lot of thinking going on.
We distract us with a good dopamine hit so we don't have to feel those feelings. So, yeah, the conversation we had on Saturday was regarding a concept that is sometimes referred to as suffering. There was a quote that was shared from Gangaji, and we'll share that right now on the screen, that gives us the framework for what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, I love this quote because it expresses so perfectly what many of us have done to try to get rid of those low feelings that we have that are caused actually by our thoughts about a situation. They often aren't caused at all by what occurred. It's our interpretation of what's occurred that creates the difficulty. So, why don't you read it?
Okay, yeah. So, what she said was, we have tried everything to get rid of suffering. We've gone everywhere to get rid of suffering. We have bought everything to get rid of suffering. We've ingested everything to get rid of suffering. Finally, when one has tried enough, there arises the possibility of spiritual maturity with the willingness to stop the futile attempt to get rid of it and instead to actually experience suffering. In that momentous instant, there is a realization of that which is beyond suffering, of that which is untouched by suffering. There is a realization of who one truly is.
I love that second paragraph. Finally, when we've tried enough, there becomes a willingness to experience suffering. And one thing we do in our coaching, which I love, is we really encourage people to welcome whatever arises. Who brought that idea?
Amy.
Oh, Amy Johnson, our mentor. And it's such a good point. And Byron Katie takes it a step further and says, love whatever arises. So the step one is so simple, and you can do this yourself. The minute you notice that your mood is dropping, that you're in a low mood, you can just sit for a moment, very, very short, and relax. Let your shoulders relax. And just be willing to feel the energy, the pure energy of whatever is there, without any labels, without any thought connected to it. I like to think of diving right into it, like diving into a swimming pool and exploring it and see what it's made of. That willingness to meet suffering leads us often to a moment of being totally present And that is who we truly are in that moment of total presence. We connect with our true nature. And for me, at least, if I'm willing to do that, it shifts. It can create for some and for me often a realization of the memory that I've got hooked up to needing food that my body doesn't really want. And the minute you see it, the minute the seeing is deep around the circumstance, it ends. I had that which I've shared with you before about potato chips. I got quiet about potato chips and I saw that they were connected to feeling safe. The minute I saw that, I thought, well, potato chips aren't going to make me safe. This is nuts. And ever since then, I haven't had the least desire for one potato chip, and I haven't had one potato chip. So we encourage you to look at what Gangaji is saying, to have the willingness to really feel whatever arises, explore it like a kid who's just curious and full of wonder.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we've experienced it in our own lives and as we've coached others around us, that what Gangaji is pointing to here, to actually experience the suffering, it sounds like, oh my gosh, if I experience the suffering, I'm just going to be consumed. But the interesting thing is, another way to say that, experience the suffering, is just feel that feeling, free of any thoughts we have about it. What creates the pain in that thinking is what I'm telling myself it means. You know, it's like
Exactly.
some of these clients who had gone back to their old ways of eating, they had lost their job, or one said, you know, everything blew up at work. So they were just under this constant tension. But the tension wasn't actually the circumstance as much as their thinking about the circumstance. So when we would coach them into feeling the feeling, free of the thoughts they have about it, just the feeling without, oh, I lost my job and that means I'm going to not be able to pay the rent. And if I can't pay the rent, I'm going to, and how it goes, you know, how there's that snowball thinking that occurs and we start feeling worse and worse. But if we feel the feeling without the thinking and all the snowballing that's making the feeling worse, if we feel the feeling only, that's what Gangaji is pointing at. We begin to realize what's beyond the suffering, what's beyond the experience of this feeling that is there created by the interpretation I'm giving to the circumstance.
What we begin to realize is that the difficulty is the doorway to who I truly am. If I'm willing to, like a little kid, welcome it in and explore it without any thought about it, just pure curiosity, it can lead me more and more to that deeper wisdom that I have, that love and joy and well-being that we all are.
And it's a doorway to making healthy food choices. Because when we can decouple that link between all the way I feel, and if I eat this food, I won't feel this anymore. You know, that's that trying to get rid of that feeling, as opposed to, oh, I'm feeling this way, and realizing I can go into that feeling. As much as counterintuitive as that is, everything in my body is saying, do not go there. The alarms are going off, the red lights. And so it's all of a sudden, we begin to learn that it's safe to feel our feelings, to drop into our bodies, to let go of all that thinking we have about what our future is going to look like because of the circumstance or whatever's creating the anxiety and what we're calling here suffering. And when we begin to learn and realize we can feel those feelings, in the moment that the feeling comes up and I'm thinking, if I just had this to eat, it becomes that little Dharma bell, a little alarm, a little reminder to, oh, let me just feel this feeling. And in the feeling, we can get in touch with what's beyond all of that thinking. It's beyond all that feeling. And everything is actually quite okay there in this moment.
Yeah, explore for yourself and see.
Yeah.
Don't believe us, try it out. So the recipe today is Mexican rice and bean casserole. And the only thing you have to prep is green onion or an onion. It is so quick and so delicious.
Yeah,
We
really
had
good.
it yesterday
Yeah.
for lunch and today for dinner.
Yeah, tonight I'm gonna put it in lettuce, make lettuce wraps with it. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And added a little avocado. Oh yeah, ways to spice it up.
Okay, thanks so
Mm.
much for being here and take time to read Gangaji's quote. See what it enlivens in you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.